What's going on, everyone? My name is Blake Michael Cathy. I am a real estate and serial entrepreneur here in Naples, Florida. One of the big things I wanted to do this year was interview a few of the guys that I know and work closely with here in Naples, Florida. They're all business owners from all different types of businesses, and I want to bring that to you, that content to you, so that if you're thinking about getting into a certain business, or if you just have questions about how different businesses work, starting a business in general, you can reflect on some of these videos and have a chance to learn from some of the greats in each industry. So today I have the privilege of interviewing one of my good friends, Brennen Seaman, who recently was on the Lopez show, has been featured on multiple podcasts, and owns a detailing business here in Naples, a very successful one, and one that I would say is probably the #1 detailing company in Naples. Yeah. Am I crazy to say that?
No. Pretty accurate.
Awesome. So Brennan's going to talk a little bit about that business today. He's going to introduce himself as well. And then at the end of this video, we're going to get into what it was like for him to be on the Lopez show, to sit down with Ty himself and, gain that knowledge from somebody else in the business. So go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of what you're doing right now.
Awesome. Yeah, so my name is Brennen Seaman. Obviously, we're in Naples, Florida. I'm 19 years old. I've owned a few other companies in my entrepreneur lifetime, and but the detailing one is pretty much what everyone knows me as, and I started that when I was about 16 years old. Fast forward to today, it does over 6 figures a year, and just some of the biggest CEOs, the biggest clients you can think of, NFL owners, all types of executives, just building those relationships with them and creating that business has been an awesome tool for my life and future businesses, that's for sure.
Awesome. And remind me, how old are you right now?
19.
19 years old. So you started at 16. You've only been in the business for 3 years.
Yeah.
You're already doing well over 6 figures, as you and I know, and you've really been able to accumulate a lot of success in the business.
Right.
What would you say kind of is the reason for that?
Definitely just selling myself and building the relationships. Something I was taught very young was the relationship building is really what drives the business, not your product or service. You can have a bad product or service, and people will still buy because maybe they understand you better than the other person, or they just simply like you better.
And we're going to get into the relationships a lot later, and I'm really excited to talk about that because that's one of the big things I've really taken a lot of value in. So tell me a little bit, how many clients are you currently servicing? Do you know?
Probably at least over 100 right now.
Over 100 clients. That's crazy. And how many on an average day do you service?
Probably about 5 to 8 on a normal day. 10 if we're super busy, but usually about 5 right now.
And just to give everybody background, do you have any employees right now?
We have one full-time employee that's with me every day, and he's new to the pack, but he's a long-term guy, and he'll be with me throughout few years.
Wonderful. That's good to know. Well, typically when I've talked to people in the past and people that have reached out to me, all they want to know about is the good things that happen in business.
Right.
They're so drawn to all the attractive, the sexiness of each and every business, and obviously the money side of it. So that's why I started off by talking about that. But one of the things I'm excited to talk to you about is the nitty-gritty and kind of all the crap that goes on behind the business. When you first started the business, what were some of the drawbacks to it? What were you really struggling with in the beginning? And was there ever a time where you wanted to just throw in the towel and give up?
Of course. Yeah, definitely. So, keep in mind I was 15, 16 years old when I first started, so I didn't really know how to talk to people. Mm-hmm. Especially now, this generation doesn't really get taken seriously when you're in that type of space, trying to do different things.
Yep.
And one of the biggest things was just people taking me seriously, and prior to that, my very first company, so to speak, when I was 13, I resold sneakers, and so I was already kind of knew what I was doing in a way. But door knocking people at 16 years old, and they automatically know what you're trying to sell them something, and they don't want you there, so they're gonna do everything, and they're being to get you off their doorstep.
Yep.
I've had people open the door naked, curse me out, tell me I'm watching football. Everyone, I knocked on 100 doors. I was lucky to get one person that actually was genuinely wanting to speak to me.
Background info as well. We live in a very high net worth area, so getting someone to answer the door, if you can even get past the gate, is typically a very difficult thing to do. So I applaud you for giving it your best effort. I'm sure you probably got cops call on you multiple times. As far as the business aspect and the growing, what kind of hindered you from growing it in the beginning very quickly, would you say?
I didn't have any relationships. I was still in high school, so no one knew who I was. I was just a normal high school student at the time. Mm-hmm. I had no real important connections. I didn't know, I just knew what I knew at the time.
Okay.
And I just slowly went and built one by one, and one person led to the next person. But that takes time, and that was pretty much the majority of it. That's it took 3 years to get to where I'm at today.
So you pretty much had the mindset all along of, I just need one client, and then once you had one, it was okay.
Right.
I just need 2 clients, and once you had 2, it was I just need 3, and it's kind of just transpired from there.
Yeah,
So
the little
awesome.
building block.
What made you start? Was it, did you wash somebody's car next door, and then you were like, oh my gosh, I can make a business out of this, or what was kind of the push to get you to really start this business?
I always used to wash my parents' cars before I even had a driver's license. I used to wash their car. It was like a therapeutic type thing. On the weekends, I take a bucket, and obviously I didn't know what I was doing, but it was a fun thing for me.
Felt good.
Yeah, and I was very, both my parents are entrepreneurial, and that's all all I was wired for. My young age was business, and so that's all I knew at the time. And beforehand, I had the sneaker business, so I already knew a lot more than what an average kid that age knew.
Right.
So after a while washing cars and kind of just getting more detailed in how to do it right, I realized where we lived at the time and what is in this specific 10-mile radius.
Of course.
And then realized there was a huge demand for that type of service, and went online. I think I went onto a photography website and ordered some cards, and parked my car one day and went door knocking and asking some friends, and that's how I got started.
You've been able to set your own schedule, even though it's extremely demanding now.
Yeah.
But you've been able to set your own schedule for a long time, and kind of just live the life you want to live based on the rules you get to set, because you saw an opportunity and you saw a lack of supply in a certain area which you live in, and you took advantage of that by creating the product and the service, and you were able to now grow that to a huge business, take advantage of it, and now you get to do pretty much whatever the heck you want to do.
Yeah.
And obviously you still got to take care of your clients, and everybody understands that, but it wasn't an overnight thing.
Right.
It grew gradually over 3 years to what it is now, and I think that's a very important thing to point out to all these people. So currently where you're at, what is kind of the hardest, most difficult situation you're in right now?
As we speak right now, we're growing tremendously to the point where we're kind of just trying to keep up and not turn down business. So we're hiring, and we're putting some more trucks on the road, and so really just trying to find that kind of balance in between the right people, the right clients, the right system, the right service, and make sure everyone's taken care of the same way. If I myself was always there, and as of right now I'm always at every job, but future talking 3 to 6 months, I probably won't be at every job.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to find the balance and still be able to keep that me and someone else that can accommodate those people.
And I think that is one of the toughest things, and so many people, they want to grow as fast as they can.
Yeah.
And you've been growing consistently for 3 years, and you're at the point now where you're growing almost too far too fast.
Right.
And it's not a bad thing, obviously. There's no such thing as too much business, but right now where you're at, it's getting very difficult for you, and we've talked about that personally before. There's actually a show I was watching the other day that talked about how you've got to be prepared for that amount of success before you get into the business, and I think that's something you've done well with, where you have had the mindset of, I'm going to make this a 6-figure business all along, so that when it became a 6-figure business, it didn't catch you by surprise. You were ready for it. You had all the systems in place, whether you were doing 1 detail a day, 1 detail a month, whatever it was. When you first started, you made sure it was on your calendar. You made sure you were communicating the same way with the people back then that you are now. And I think that's a big thing as well. So obviously the hiring people, what are you looking for in an employee? What kind of resume do you want to see from an employee?
So that's a good question. A lot of people, you don't have to be young, you don't have to be old, someone that's willing to put in the work, and it's obviously not an easy job being out in the sun every day, especially when you're 10 cars deep and you don't want to go to the next one.
Right.
It's definitely a job where you can start out just as the car wash boy and end up doing making your own living doing it, because the truth of the matter is you can span this company to be as far as you can franchise it. There's other detailing companies that have been extremely successful around the U.S. that have franchised.
Yep.
And so there's a huge, especially you add the fact that we're in Naples, this blows and adds fuel onto the whole situation.
My favorite question that was asked was, do you think it was or is necessary to cut such a big part of your social life out in order to gain the success that you're at right now? So, not going to the parties, things like that. Do you find that it's necessary to do that? Do you need to cut all of it out, or where do you find the balance?
I say yeah, 100%, because I confidently say I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you today if I didn't. I started cutting that stuff out my sophomore year of high school at least, pretty heavily, to the point where every year I was dropping. My circle, so to speak, got smaller.
Right.
People started stop asking me to go do things, and I've never really looked at that as a negative thing. To this day, I still have my best friends. They just know that it's not something that I would go do, and I don't take it personally, because it's just I'm doing something different, and they do their thing and I do my thing.
Exactly.
But I 100% agree that you need to disappear. If you want to do something big and change an industry, or just blow your idea out of proportion, you need to disappear for a while. There's a lot of distractions, whether it be friendships, relationships, family, especially just outside world. I've gotten really good at just kind of blocking out everything, and I have like maybe 2 or 3 people I talk to, and I come home and I work, and that's what I've been doing for the last year.
Right.
And
you mentioned family. That's a very touchy subject for some people.
Yeah, of course.
And cutting them out, and how you go about doing that. Can you explain what that's been like for you? Have you cut them out? Like, what's the situation there?
Yeah, so my family, they definitely have. I live on my own, so I'm not anyone else. You probably asked. They live at home,
right.
And so I don't see my mom or dad that much. But they also know that there's a reason for it.
Exactly.
They're not. I'm not punishing them in any way. I'm out, trying to make something happen, and they understand the same value that I have to do. When I get home every day, I there's nothing left in me. I don't have any time to go hang out with the kids or do those certain things every single day like I used to.
Right.
So they understand that, and they've been great parents to understand that. For the next couple of years, it's probably how it's going to have to be. So.
And would you say that at 19 years old, living on your own, owning your own business, being a very busy person, that your relationship with your parents has grown because you're no longer there?
In a way, yeah, definitely. In an adult way, it definitely adds stress. 100% adds stress to every situation, even little situations that if you live there, then it wouldn't have mattered.
Right, like how to do laundry,
yeah,
and how to do the dishes.
Exactly.
It takes a little while to adjust, but
yeah. But they definitely one of the biggest things that you mentioned in the beginning was the freedom part, and I kind of they both, myself and my parents, have valued that, just to be able to do what you want and not be tied down to a job, or
right.
have to ask people to go do things, or if I want to go to Miami tomorrow morning, I can go to Miami. I don't have to get approval from my boss, my parents. I'm my own entity, and I've been that way since I was 15.
Right.
And they've realized that and seen that in me, and kind of brought me up that way, and just to be independent, and I enjoy the accountability, to be honest. I enjoy having lots of bills, and I enjoy paying for stuff, and it's just that's that part of business that's wired in me, of taking accountability.
Absolutely. And then I know you have a girlfriend that you've been dating for a long time.
Yep.
So I want you to also talk about how you've been able to kind of, put a fine line between business and your girlfriend, and how you kind of manage that time. Because I know you guys have been together for a long time.
Almost 5 years now.
Almost 5 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. More power to you.
Yeah.
And I think just, how can you separate the two? What do you do to separate the two? How does she take everything?
Yeah, it's definitely hard. That's one of the more touchier things when you get to when you're running out every day, and it's hard to find that balance of not fighting, and having that other person understand. Maybe like when I come home, doing one thing, or having dinner made. When I come home at night, it's just such a big thing when you're when you start work at 5 in the morning every day. So it definitely took some time. We're at a really good spot right now, and she understands that my phone blows up all day. So don't unless it's important, unless it's an absolute emergency. I tell everyone, like, don't text me during the day, because I have about 60 other people that need stuff from me, and they're blowing my phone up.
And they're the ones paying you, so that's what you care about.
And it's the little things like that, So she's been awesome. She's definitely been a huge supporter of mine, and she understands that kind of growing pain that we're going through right now, and it's for a reason. It's not perfect.
You've got to find the one that can accept, as an entrepreneur, as a serial entrepreneur, can accept the fact that no month is ever the same, no day is ever the same. You can come home with all the bread one month and none of the bread the next month, and you have to have someone that is willing to pick you up on your bad months and be there to celebrate with you on your good months, but also do the little things like have dinner ready when you come home, and just be a good support staff for
100%.
you, because that is definitely a big part of any entrepreneur, and whether you're a guy or a girl, it works both ways. So I wanted you to really touch on that, so I appreciate that.
Of course.
One of the things you and I have always agreed upon, and it has shown in a lot of the business talks that you and I have had, even when you were here 30 minutes ago before we got started on this, was how have you been able to build relationships with, some crazy high net worth individuals, not even mentioning Ty Lopez. How have you been able to, build some of these relationships and put yourself in a position to have, these business opportunities come up and arise with these people? Like, how have you gained so much of their trust?
I take huge success to where I'm at today, just leveraging those relationships. I built a lot of my relationships came from people that didn't know me. Obviously, at first, they met me. Probably most of them met me online or through mutual friends of theirs. And one of the biggest things that I really understood young was that most people, they just want the quick dollar, quick. They're not trying to make the relationship. So when I started, no matter what I did, I kind of always, that was always the long-term goal, was to have that relationship where, I go on the boat with them, I go to dinner with them. It drives me more to be able to go to dinner with my clients. Forget the part that they pay me, whatever it is. They have 6 cars, whatever, they have 1 car. It totally inspires me when I can go to dinner with a client, talk about their life, talk about my life, talk about what they did, last week, the future, just those little things that build that relationship one time. Those people that if you can do it right, those people and those relationships will be with you for however long, whatever you do, they're going to be a part of.
Exactly.
All you need is a few of them. You don't need a bunch of them.
Right.
And especially if you break into that, 1% of the people, they all they all know each other, and they all kind of run the world in a way.
Exactly.
And once you're there, it's a great. I'm the first to admit, it's a great feeling when you sit at a table with a bunch of important people.
Of course.
So.
And it makes a big difference. Doing all the little things, and as simple as a lunch, a dinner, coffee in the mornings. It does not matter as long as you're making that step. Whether you even end up going or not.
Right. Whether
they can't make it. The text, the call, the email every day. Just saying, hey, just following up with you. Just wanted to see when we could grab coffee. I just wanted to, thank you for your business and just talk.
Yeah, I've had guys, offer me jobs because of that simple reason, because they see how I operate my business.
Exactly.
And I've had people on their first visit ever meeting me say, I'll give you a job here.
Yep.
And just because they acknowledge, if anyone's going to be able to see that trait in a person, it's going to be those type of people.
Absolutely.
And I've been completely honored to have those few relationships that I can go on the boat, go hang out with those people on the weekends. They fly down. Most of them don't even live here.
Right.
So when they live here, they come down. They text me, I'm coming in.
And you're picking them up from the airport. That's a big thing I know you love to do. Is someone's flying down and you're saying, hey, don't even worry about it. I'll pick you up. I'll take you to your house. I'll have coffee ready for you. And 100%. Just for no reason.
Right.
It's not like they're paying
my
you
friends.
for that. Yeah, exactly. At that point, they become your friends, and you guys become buddy. And it really makes up for what we were just talking about. And you let go of all those high school friends, and now you're making friends that make you so much better, because as you know, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with.
Yeah.
So if you're hanging out with a bunch of billionaires, then it's only a matter of time before you become one. Everybody's waiting all this time. They want to know what it was like for you to be with Ty Lopez. You flew out there, he flew you out there, to talk about the detailing business, how you started it, pretty much what you were talking about earlier. So tell me how that transpired. The whole situation from start to finish, and then tell me a little bit about what he was like as a person.
That whole thing was life-changing. A bunch of my close friends know how much of a big deal it was to me, and how it just gave me a whole new perspective on life and work especially. But so he has a company called Knowledge Society and Mentor Box, and about last August in 2018, he had an application for a bunch of slots that he needed filled for different types of careers, and detailing and car wash was one of them. It took about 5 minutes, filled it out, didn't think twice about it, and months later, I kind of even forgot about it. Months later, I got an LA call on my cell phone, and I didn't answer, and the guy left a voicemail, and it was Alec, the kind of head product manager of Ty. I thought it was fake, to be honest. So I listened to the voicemail, I was like, there's no way. So I ended up texting the guy, and it was an iPhone, and so we ended up talking, and I guess there was about 5 or 10 people that they were on the edge about, and including myself. So I had to send in a 2-minute video. So I filmed the video in my kitchen. I went home. I was eating Chipotle. I remember specifically I was eating Chipotle.
When are you not eating Chipotle, right?
Yeah. I probably should buy one.
That's right.
Yeah, so I was at Chipotle and I rushed home. I remember specifically I rushed home, went like 80 miles an hour, and I took my phone out of my kitchen and I filmed this 2-minute video about basically what they wanted to know what I was going to film about. So I talked about the LinkedIn, the relationship building, and just being different as a business person.
Mm-hmm.
And so they watched the video and they reviewed it, and they said to give them about a week. At that time, the team were going to review it and let me know. And so about 3 or 4 days went by, and he reached back out and said that I was picked as the one to go out there, and I barely made it work. I worked it that day. They had it was about 2 days after he reached back out to me that I could go, or I had to wait till January. So I made it work.
Yeah.
But I worked all day. I got on a flight, 2 flights. Flew from Florida to Houston and Houston to LA. Like 12 hours on plane that first day. Didn't get back into my hotel until like 3 a.m. LA time. And I have a buddy out there that's from Naples that's playing college football out there, so he drove me around. Paid him to be my Uber driver. And so yeah, we woke up next morning, went to his house at 2, and it was not at all kind of expecting him to be there. They even kind of acknowledged that there's a good chance he wasn't going to be there. And I was following him on social media the days before because you can tell if he's there or not.
Right.
And he was in Virginia all week, so I kind of already had it set in my head that he wasn't going to be there. And then about 4 hours before we went to go film, I checked it one last time, and it was a Instagram video of him flying back into LA.
Oh boy.
And I didn't know if it was like an old video or what. I was still kind of just doubting myself at the time. But we got there, and I was greeted by the team, and they were I was expecting a very short transactional cut paste type of relationship with them, and there was about 50 people following me around all day, and they were just completely genuine with me. They wanted to know every piece about me, they basically told me that there was just a bunch of, it's a 50-50 chance they fly these guys out.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people that they do that they don't speak well, that the course doesn't go well, and they can't put it on video.
Yep.
It's not qualified enough to be branded.
Well, it's got to be hard. I mean, some people are great business people, but they just can't talk. So.
Right. Yeah, that's what the guy was saying. Is this is it's a 50-50 chance, and they spend X amount of money each person, and so we got there and we walked in the door, and Ty was in his pool eating. He was taking a lunch break in the pool, and so they showed us around the house, and we went to go film in the movie theater, which was in the very back of the house. I'm sure lots of people have probably seen the videos on YouTube of his house. It's not small, and it takes a while to get from one place to the other. So walking to the movie theater, we had to pass him, and we sat down with him for about 10 minutes, me and my buddy and Alec, and he was kind of relaxed. We didn't get too much. I didn't want to bother him, but we talked about where I was from, what we were doing there, kind of Grant Cardone, and how I got started on YouTube with him, and like the cold call scripts. And then we went to the movie theater, and we filmed for about an hour on the LinkedIn relationship building part, the messaging, finding those people that have your money.
Yep.
type of course.
LinkedIn's huge.
Huge.
I mean, LinkedIn is massive, and somebody that I'm mentoring is actually sitting over here. He wanted to join in on this, and I was telling him how important LinkedIn is because, again, those are the kind of people you're reaching out to, the people that are working, the people that are making money and are active on LinkedIn. I think it's a huge, huge, huge social media base that any company, whether you're in detailing, real estate, it doesn't matter, needs to take advantage
Even
of
if you're
LinkedIn.
looking for a job.
Yeah, or even if you're looking for a job, there's a ton of openings up on there. So talk a little bit about LinkedIn and then finish this story, but talk a little bit about LinkedIn and how that has grown your business and what you kind of said on the show.
Right, yeah, so basically, I started studying LinkedIn when I was about 17, and through my dad kind of discovered me showed me what LinkedIn was. It's basically like a professional Facebook, more professional version, and everyone there has your money, so those are the important people, and those, whether they use it or not, there's some people on there that use it, and some people just get notifications. But so I basically figured out, it took me about a year and a half of copy and pasting messages, and this was back before, but it was really like, right now it's kind of spammy, so a lot of people get spammed,
Yep.
and there was a lot of information, so most people, like 9 times out of 10 people have their contact info on their profile, their like cell number, stuff like that. So it took me about a year and a half to figure out the perfect message and how to season, as I called it, these people, because people would basically, you get a request, and then the next second someone's copy and pasting your 10-paragraph thing about insurance, and it doesn't work that way. And so I literally took, a year of going. I went to Starbucks in the morning at 5 a.m. and I was at a high school at the time, and I would go to Starbucks at 5 a.m. and I would literally connect with as many people. I set a time block about 30 minutes. I would connect with as many people as I could, and then I would season. I would let the people season for about a week, maybe like 4 or 5 days. I post every day like a blog. I use LinkedIn to this day, like my website. I don't even use my website. It's there for Google purposes only.
Right.
But I basically have finagled LinkedIn to be a blog, and so I'd let people see my work, what I was doing, and then once that season period was over, I was going back and hitting them with a quick, not even a 2-sentence type of question that was engaging. At the same time, it was explaining who I was and what I was doing, and it just worked. And I found the one, and after a year of doing it, and within the first month, I remember sitting at the Starbucks table and thinking to myself, why one, why did it take so long, but two, why did it take me this long to figure out, just that one word difference, that could tick people off or that intrigues people. And to this day, I was just telling you, I had someone respond last week of a 2-year-old message, and now I don't do messaging anymore because I don't have the time to, but I post at least 2 times a day almost, and people just, they see it and they call me.
Right.
So it's almost like a self-producing, like a prospect software. I use it now. So I post, display my work. People call me all the time that don't use my work, that like to see the phone pictures.
Yep.
And it's just, even to a professional that has a $20 million company, it's completely underrated when it comes to the attention part, drawing attention to you.
It's very underrated. It's a moneymaker, and you think about it. What better place for a business to be than on a app where it's all business people?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Facebook can be hit or miss. You never know.
It's pay to play on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. It's pay to play, and LinkedIn is literally free for everyone, and you can pay for it if you want. I understand that, but there's so much you can do and utilize with it, and it's not hard to connect with people. And people are so friendly on the app because, again, they're getting hit from all these other directions that they want to go to LinkedIn and use it as a business. They want to connect with people. That's the whole point of it. So I think using it to your advantage is huge.
Yeah.
You also said, I love this, and you probably didn't even mean for this when you said it, but you went to Starbucks every morning at 5 a.m. You didn't stay at home and do it at 5 a.m. If you're going to do something like that, if you're going to be on social media, if you're going to be, whatever it is, just like if you were writing a school paper back in high school, you went to Panera Bread to do it, you went to, Starbucks, wherever the heck you went. I think that's huge because doing things in a public place, one, typically make you work a little harder, but two, it's putting you out there. You may or may not have had multiple people come up to you at a point in time and be like, what the heck are you doing here at 5 in the morning on your computer? You look like a whiz kid right now. Just curious what you're doing. And you can gain more clients that way. It may never work. It may work a ton. But I think if you don't put yourself out there, you're limiting all your chances. So, just get out there, go to events, go do whatever the heck you have to do, but just always be somewhere. Did you go to college?
No college.
No college at all.
Then I stepped one foot in college.
Isn't that crazy? So he's 19, no college, lives on his own, runs a 6-figure company at least, and is just living the best version of his life that he could probably ever imagine, that I could ever imagine. Knowing him for a couple of years now and seeing this business grow has excited me a ton. I was super pumped to bring him out here to do this video first. Before we sign off, for anybody that currently works in car detailing, what has helped you get to the point to where you're at now, and say whatever you want.
Yeah, if anyone else is doing what I'm doing, the biggest thing I could give to you is just be different. Even if you detail one car a month, run your business like it's a $10 million business. And people, it doesn't matter. It's concentrated here in Naples, but no matter where you are, real entrepreneurs and business people will they'll see that in you without you even having to try. All the way from CRM softwares, follow-up's huge. Just the little things that 9 out of 10. There's 100 detailing companies in Naples, and none of them have business practice like I have business practice, because I've been, since my first customer, like you mentioned earlier, I mean, I literally run the business like it's $100 million business. I mean, down from a phone call to the way, I mean, everything, software on everything, completely overdone from the start. Just preparing yourself. It's like an employee, you know, you have to start getting employees before you actually get busy, because all of a sudden now when the busyness comes, you're investing in employees.
Exactly.
And putting that money into an employee, because if you don't, when that time comes, you're screwed.
Exactly.
And so I had to do that, you know, months ago, and I had to change my vision, because I'm someone that wants to do everything by myself, and I'm a perfectionist, and you know, I know 100% that no one's going to care about my company like me, and no one's going to do everything like how I want. But I had to, you know, invest in that employee, and just so I was ready, and that time came, and I was ready for it.
Awesome.
You know, I didn't get hit with that roadblock where I had to turn down business when we grew too much. And you know, that's definitely, you know, just be different, and think about, you know, if you were a multi-million-dollar CEO walking into your office every morning, what you would do, how you would treat a client, how would you approach a client, you know, all the way down from leaving a water bottle, you know, with your logo on it in their car type thing.
It's all about having the mindset that I've already made it.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things people struggle with is, you know, every morning you've got to wake up and you've got to go through your affirmations, and you've got to talk to yourself about not where you want to be, but where you envision yourself that you are right now. So I mean, if your goal in life is to make $1 million a year, you wake up every day and you say, I make $1 million a year. If your goal in life is to own an extremely successful detailing company, you wake up every morning and you already own that successful detailing company. Because ultimately the hard part is not necessarily growing the company, but it's getting it off the ground.
Right.
And I think
100%.
once you get it going, you've already surpassed the hardest part. You know, 99% of people quit after the first step.
Right.
So I mean, if you don't make it past that first step, you're never going to make it. So the first step starts right here. You've got to envision it in your mind, and you've got to tell yourself that this is what it's going to be, and this is how I'm going to do it. You know, you got to execute on everything that you say, and then after that, as long as you have a plan, and everything's going to follow. And I think you've seen that obviously clear cut and dry, and it's been a pleasure to watch you grow this business, and I'm excited for it to turn into a 7-figure company very, very soon. So thank you so much for coming on, brother. It's good to see you. Again, guys, I'm not here to sell you anything. All I want to do is bring on, you know, really successful people that are going to be able to help you guys. I'm going to put my contact information below the video. If you have questions about a business, if you want to talk to Brennen personally, we can set something up. Go ahead and, you know, shoot me a text, give me a call, whatever you want to do. I'm here to help. This will not be the last video. I'm going to have all sorts of business owners sitting here with me this year, so I'm really excited for that. So make sure you guys stay tuned, and make sure you thank Brennen for an awesome time. So thanks, guys.